and welcome back to the serialization of veterans interviews. This will be a one-part report on the experience of Arthur Covello, Lieutenant Colonel, USAF, retired, a forward air controller during the Vietnam War. Forward air controllers were usually at the focus of air support for ground operations. When calls for assistance came from the battlefield, they were the first to respond, and usually the last to leave, often on low fuel. They assisted in the interdiction and extraction of troops. They served as on-scene commanders for conducting airstrikes with troops engaged in battle with the Viet Cong. Fighter ordnance was not expended without their okay. They flew low and slow and very much in harm's way. They improvised tactics when there were none. So let's listen to Lieutenant Colonel Art Covello as he tells us about his flying in the unglamorous, vulnerable propeller aircraft over Vietnam and Cambodia.
I went to Ben Hoa, which was near the city of Saigon, assigned to the O2 Super Skymaster, which is this airplane here, as a model of it, made by Dodd Spurring, by the way, from Mount Holly. And it was two-place, a pilot and a navigator. Navigators flew almost exclusively at night using a starlight scope. Now, a starlight scope was nothing more than a telescope which amplified light 40,000 times. So if you were flying over a jungle and someone lit a cigarette under a triple canopy jungle, you would see the light. Anyway, our job there at Ben Hoa was to circle around the city and the airfields and try to spot any rocket launches. And this period was right after Tet, and Tet was a Viet Cong offensive, and we never did see any rocket launches, and but we did work with the Army, especially artillery positions, and so I flew that mission for about 6 months.
What training did you have prior to getting? What training did you have prior to getting into the aircraft?
For the O2?
Yeah.
Zero.
You mean you just went cold turkey?
Just took navigators who hadn't been flying, and I was in this ROTC assignment, so I wasn't in an operational unit. And so they just took us, put us in the right seat, and said, "Here, open the window, stick the starlight scope out, and see what you see." And it was interesting there, but I'd say it was relatively safe. The biggest thing you had to worry about were other airplanes in the area. One incident that happened there I'd like to relate. My pilot and I, Denny Fendelender, were given the mission of trying to rescue an Army unit who had gone into closer to the Cambodian border to rescue some prisoners who had been taken. Well, we got up there and made radio contact with this group. Incidentally, I think they had two U.S. Army people leading it and about 8 or 9 Cambodian mercenaries. Can you believe that? We used mercenaries there. And so we circled around, made radio contact, and the leader down there was whispering to us what was happening. He was surrounded by Viet Cong. And Denny, I guess in the excitement of it all, hit the wrong toggle switch. There was a toggle switch there that controlled the parachute flares or the Willie Pete rockets, white phosphorus rockets, which made smoke. And there was another a piece there called a log flare, which would just drop on the ground and burn. Well, he hit the parachute flare, and his whole area lit up, million candle power. And I just went, "Oh, Denny, oh God!" And this thing burns for about a minute or 2 minutes. Anyway, nothing happened to the group on the ground, and we brought in a C-47 gunship would circle the area and just hose the area down with their Gatling guns, which fired 600 rounds a minute. An F-100 came in, he dropped bombs, and then finally 3 helicopters from the Army came in and rescued these guys. So they were out of it. And that was about probably the most exciting thing that happened at Benoit. New Year's Eve, 1968, we flew 3 airplanes back to Da Nang. I was actually assigned to Da Nang and was really a temporary duty at Benoit. But Da Nang was quite a different mission for the O2. We flew only at night over Laos. From Da Nang to Laos was maybe a 30-minute flight in the O2, which got up to the supersonic speed of 120 knots. And anyway, what we did there was a mission of interdiction on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. And I might explain that the Ho Chi Minh Trail for the North Vietnamese brought supplies down in trucks to the Viet Cong or the units, the North Vietnamese units in South Vietnam. The Ho Chi Minh Trail was just not one road. It was just a web of roads. So we were assigned an area, and we flew that area at night to see what we could see, and then called in strikes from, could be Navy fighters or Air Force F-4s, F-100s, whatever. And we did this. It got hairy, I have to say that, because they were top-level gunners, these North Vietnamese, and they had what was a 37 millimeter anti-aircraft guns and a variety of other types stationed along this web. And you'd be reading a map there at night. The cockpit would be relatively dark, except for this, and the whole cockpit will light up as traces would go by you, and
Did they have a way of tracking you?
At the time, I don't think so. I don't know whether they tracked us or not. But what happened another night that really, I thought this was time to check out, say Our Father before you do. We were flying again over Laos, over a road, and I could see on the right side of the airplane, the navigator said on the right side, traces coming up. And so I told the pilot, Robbie, brake left. And he said, I can't. We've got traces on the other side. And I had to look up the front, and traces were coming up, and we just put that little airplane into all kinds of maneuvers to get out of there. And the thing about it was, in the excitement of it all, you wouldn't worry about it until you got on the ground, and then you start thinking about it. Well, what would have happened here? And it wasn't a very good feeling. I flew out of Da Nang for about maybe 3 to 4 months, and then the last part of my tour I spent in the Operations Center, and I left there in June of 1969. So I spent the whole year in Vietnam.
I was impressed with Art Covello's humility as he related his year of flying support of ground troops in Vietnam. Forward air controllers did an amazing job under difficult situations. They served with unheralded distinction. Art went on to fly C-141s at McGuire Air Force Base, and upon retirement he was the public relations officer and historian for the 514th Military Airlift Wing at that base. He was a member of the McGuire Foundation and a worker on building Starlifter Park, with the C-141 aircraft as its focal point. We are proud to say that he was a charter member of the Armed Forces Heritage Museum. In the next serial, you will learn about the Air Force Advisor Program via the video memoir of Colonel Olaf Holm. Colonel Holm was the commander of the Air Advisor Academy at Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst. He will relate his experience during his one-year tour as an air advisor and helicopter pilot in Afghanistan. It's a compelling story of interpersonal relationship building, understanding another's culture, military bravery, and insightful humanitarian actions with Afghan children. You will want to see, his exceptional airborne photography. So, we'll see you next time. Oh, and by the way, if you would like to help produce these mini documentaries, please go to the Armed Forces Heritage Museum's website, www.afhmus.org. Just follow the prompts and make a donation. And say, while you're thinking about it, why not do it right now?